It starts with a quiet observation that has been echoing through lecture halls thousands of miles away from Manila. Not in headlines, not in official rankings, but in conversations, in faculty lounges, in grading rooms, in whispered admiration after class discussions. American professors, from engineering departments to medical schools, from humanities seminars to IT labs, are saying something unexpected. Some of the most intellectually impressive students they've encountered are Filipino. And it isn't just about grades. It's about how they think, how they adapt, how they endure. Because intelligence, the real kind, isn't always loud. Sometimes it shows up as resilience. Imagine stepping into a classroom where the educational culture is completely different from what you grew up with, where participation is expected, not optional, where questioning authority is encouraged, where independence is measured almost as much as correctness. For many international students, this transition is overwhelming. But Filipino students often navigate this shift with a quiet steadiness. Professors notice how quickly they adjust, how they listen first before speaking, how they observe the system before mastering it. There's a pattern that keeps repeating. In group projects, they become the stabilizers. In research work, they become the consistent contributors. In clinical simulations, they become the calm decision-makers. And when challenges come, and they always do, they rarely collapse under pressure. Instead, they recalibrate. This adaptability doesn't come from nowhere. It is shaped long before they board a plane. In homes where resources may not always be abundant, creativity becomes survival. In classrooms where class sizes are large and materials are limited, self-learning becomes second nature. In environments where competition exists alongside community, collaboration becomes instinctive. So when they arrive in American institutions, they're not just carrying academic knowledge. They're carrying mental endurance, and professors see it. There's a story often told by faculty members in nursing programs. During high-pressure simulations, when others freeze, Filipino students tend to focus. Not because they are fearless, but because they are familiar with responsibility. Many of them grew up helping raise siblings, helping manage households, balancing school with real-life obligations. Decision-making didn't start in university. It started at home. Another story comes from engineering departments. In complex problem-solving sessions, Filipino students often bring something unexpected: practicality. They don't just chase theoretical perfection. They look for workable solutions, efficient ones, real-world ones, solutions that function under constraints, because they understand what constraints feel like. And then there's communication. Despite not always being the loudest voices in the room, Filipino students often articulate ideas with clarity and humility. They challenge without arrogance. They contribute without dominating. And this balance, confidence without entitlement, stands out. Professors notice how they handle feedback. Criticism doesn't shut them down. It sharpens them. Failure doesn't humiliate them. It fuels them. Because many have already faced tougher situations long before academia. Homesickness, financial pressure, cultural adjustment. Yet they persist. Another factor quietly shaping this perception is multilingual ability. Many Filipino students grow up navigating multiple languages, local dialects, Filipino, English. This constant switching develops cognitive flexibility. The brain learns early how to shift perspectives, how to interpret context, how to communicate across differences. And this translates into academic environments. They read between the lines. They detect nuance. They understand not just what is said, but what is meant. Professors often describe them as contextually intelligent. not just book smart, but situationally aware. And then there's work ethic. In interviews, faculty repeatedly mention consistency, not bursts of brilliance followed by decline, but steady, disciplined effort, assignments submitted on time, research conducted thoroughly, team responsibilities fulfilled without supervision. They don't wait to be chased. They move. And perhaps one of the most defining traits, respect. Not the passive kind, but active respect. Respect for learning, for peers, for instructors. It creates a classroom dynamic that fosters collaboration rather than competition. And when students respect the learning process, they engage differently. They listen. They ask meaningful questions. They support others. Professors feel it. It changes the energy of the room. Many also observe emotional intelligence. In stressful environments, labs, clinical rotations, project deadlines, Filipino students often maintain composure. They support struggling teammates. They mediate conflicts. They bring humor into tension. This ability to regulate emotion is rarely measured in exams, but in professional environments, it matters immensely. And educators know it. Over time, these observations accumulate. Across campuses, across departments, across disciplines, and a quiet consensus forms. Intelligence is not just about test scores. It's about resilience, adaptability, collaboration, empathy, problem-solving under pressure, cultural awareness, persistence. Filipino students bring all of these, not as performance, but as identity. Their journey often involves sacrifice, families pooling resources, communities supporting dreams, parents placing hope in education as a path forward. So when they sit in those classrooms, they carry more than ambition. They carry responsibility, and that responsibility shapes behavior. It drives preparation. It sustains motivation. It builds endurance. Professors see students who do not take opportunity lightly, students who value the seat they occupy, students who understand what it costs to get there. And that awareness transforms how they learn. They are less entitled, more grateful, more focused. And gratitude, when paired with discipline, creates powerful learners. There are also cultural values at play. The concept of collective progress. The idea that success is not purely individual, that achievement uplifts family, community, future generations. This mindset shifts motivation from self-centered to purpose-driven, and purpose-driven learners tend to endure longer, push harder, stay committed. Professors often remark that Filipino students don't just aim to pass. They aim to grow, to improve, to represent. And this sense of representation fosters excellence, because they are not just students. They are ambassadors of sacrifice, symbols of hope, proof that effort can transcend limitation. In discussions, they bring global perspective. In teamwork, they bring unity. In challenges, they bring calm persistence. And slowly, organically, admiration grows, not from stereotypes, but from repeated experience, from consistent encounters, from real interactions, across years of teaching, across waves of graduates, across countless classroom moments. And perhaps the most telling sign isn't praise, it's trust. Professors trust them with leadership roles, with research responsibilities, with peer mentorship, because they know they will show up, prepared, committed, reliable. And in academia, where reliability is gold, this matters. So when American professors speak of intelligence, they are not referring to a single dimension. They are describing a multidimensional strength, a blend of intellect and character, skill and humility, competence and compassion. Filipino students embody this blend, and that is what makes them stand out. Not perfection, but perseverance. Not loud brilliance, but enduring excellence. And as classrooms become more diverse, these qualities become even more valuable. Because the future doesn't just need smart individuals, it needs adaptable thinkers, collaborative leaders, emotionally aware professionals, and resilient innovators. The kind of individuals who don't just succeed when conditions are ideal, but thrive even when they are not. And in lecture halls across America, professors are beginning to recognize this truth, that intelligence wears many faces, speaks many accents, carries many stories. And sometimes it arrives quietly, with determination in its eyes and resilience in its heart.